Well, good evening out there to everybody in internet land. Hi, hello, and how are you doing? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and welcome once again to another rendition of the Wednesday Night Newsroom, that fun little thing we do in the middle of the week where we get together, we talk about the news, we give our views, we hear from you, the wonderful members of Fedora Nation, trying to help us all make sense out of this crazy thing that we call life. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. If you've never come across me before, I am sometimes known as the beau in the chapeau. Occasionally, I'm called the fine fella in the fedora. But I am in this moment, above all else, your host. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So if you would not mind, please do me some favors. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, please go ahead and subscribe. And while you're at it, hit the thumbs up button and go ahead and leave a comment in chat. Daggone it, you would not believe how much that so helps me out as far as the expanding the reach of this audience. While you're at it, share the link around to your friends. Tell them to get in here and say, hey, this guy, he looks a little goofy, but he acts like he knows what he's talking about. At least that's what I think anyway. That's what I definitely think you ought to do. Again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. This is the Wednesday Night Newsroom. Thank you ever so much for being here. Glad to have you all here. Hope you guys are surviving cicada season. I tell you what, I don't know what it is about my actual front porch, but I swear cicadas are coming to my porch to die. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. It's absolutely insane. I don't know what quite to make of it yet. Anyway, glad to have you guys here tonight. I hope you are surviving the beginnings of summer and the cicadas and the rain and the everything else that's going on in your lives. So let us see who all is in the house so far. Lana's in the house. Mwah. Hello, darling. So good for you to be here. Let's see. Hello, Robert. Fist bump to you. Boom. Glad to see you, brother. And Lana also says, like upon arrival, folks, it's the polite thing to do. Yes, hit that like button when you're coming in the room, daggone it. It'd be greatly appreciated. We'd love to have you do that for us. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So good to have y'all here. Oh, well, you're lucky. Let me tell you something. I don't know what happened in my neck of the woods, but Lord have mercy. Apparently, we have hit the season again around here. I didn't think we should have, because it's been about, I want to say 7 or 8 years when last we had to deal with the little monsters. But I tell you what, every freaking morning I'm having to go out, take a shop vac, and sweep the infernal things up off my porch. I mean, just suck them up like, I mean, it's absurd. Just absolutely absurd. I mean, they're around the door frame. They're around everything on my porch. And it's like, and now, you know, when you got to deal with bug guts and all that good stuff, you know, right after you had dinner, I got to bring up that subject. But it's like, what the heck? Craziness, people. Just absolute craziness. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just terrible out there. Absolutely terrible. Anyway, glad to have y'all here tonight. We got a few things lined up to talk about. And as always, you know, I mean, there's an expression that I use that is not original to me. It's my boss at work came up with it. He's like, sometimes life is like trying to drink water out of a fire hydrant. And that's exactly what the news is like these days. So much of it to talk about, but we got a few things to focus on. And good evening, Miss Gypsy. Mwah. Mwah. Good to see you, my dear. Welcome. Oh, goodness. Waiting for some of the rumblers to come in. I know that WWG1 is not here tonight, but that does not mean that we are absent some memes, thanks to our crazy Canadian friend, Adam. He dropped me a few, and I've had a few others I managed to find. So we'll take a look at all that good stuff. So anyway, glad to have you all here. And I'll tell you what, we'll just go ahead and dive right in and get the shoe started, as it were. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard about already about 50 or 75 individuals from South Africa who have been granted asylum status because of the genocide that's going on. Now, say that in front of the wrong person, and they're going to be like, there is no genocide in South Africa. Well, apparently it's bad enough that we've made the determination we'll bring them in. 75 people, right? You know, the reaction that some people have in these situations tells you so much. And with that said, we give you our first meme of the night. Folks, am I wrong, or does this really say quite so much? I mean, I'm not saying, but I am just saying, you know, absolutely, absolutely. This is pretty telling, if I do say so myself. There you go. Oh, yes, you are absolutely right. It is totally free to hit the like button and subscribe. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. One of the most famous ladies west of the Mississippi River, Jessica Fensky, a.k.a. Forrest Mommy, is in the house. Mwah to you, darling. We have got to get together sometime soon because I got to catch up with you and all that's going on out there in your crazy state of Colorado. Now, don't get me wrong. I loves me my Colorado people, but I got to get the 411. And the best way to find out what's going on in Colorado, folks, and I mean this with all my heart, if you're not following Forrest Mommy on Twitter, you are missing out, because aside from the fact that she's one of the most hysterically funny people you'll ever meet, she is also one of the hardest working people around fighting commies. And believe me, listen to her tell it, there's quite a few commies out in her beloved Colorado, and she will tell you about it. So yes, Jessica, yeah, I got to get you on here sometime, darling. Absolutely. Would look forward to, got to do it. Got to get you back on, darling. Oh, goodness me. All right. What else goes on in the world? Crazy times in this. Well, as y'all know, the President of the United States has now made a run over to the Middle East. And I tell you what, depending on what aspect of that trip you're looking at, he is absolutely tearing it up over there, which we'll get into a little bit of that momentarily. But there is one aspect of the trip that has people upset. And when I say people, I mean mostly the members of Trump's staff that are traveling with him, because they're really getting a little bit disappointed with certain aspects of what's going on. I mean, for example, you know, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but, you know, there's one thing in particular that is causing angst with members of Trump's staff as they're traveling. I mean, they're told one thing and then they get another. I mean, for example, you know, there's no bouncy castle whenever they go into some of these places. I mean, they're taking off. I mean, can you imagine that many pairs of shoes outside the doors of a place where you think the bouncy castle is at? And then, you find nothing. You find absolutely nothing. So, yeah, you begin to understand why Trump's people are a little bit upset about all this. So, I'm just saying, a little bit frustrating on their part. Don't know what else to tell you. Oh my goodness me. Look who just, oh my goodness. Two of my absolutely favorite ladies. Mwah. Hello, Tiny Tesla. Glad to have you here with us, darling. And oh my goodness, the surprise. Check it out. Z Highness is here representing the 199. Oh my gosh. Glad to have you ladies here tonight. And again, mwah and mwah. Love it when good looking women show up in my live stream. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. So many good looking women and only one of me. What can I do? Okay, I may have got myself in trouble with the lady, but oh well. It was a joke, honey. It was a joke. You know me, I'm a natural born flirt. What can I tell you? Anywho, let me dig out of this real fast. You come for the, well, dear, you can come to my live stream anytime you want. You and all the other ladies, I will compliment you, which you so richly deserve. I mean, my goodness. You know, I will absolutely give you all the compliments that you deserve, that you so richly deserve, because y'all good looking and y'all have hearts, just enormous hearts. So, you know, God love y'all. Y'all are just amazing. Just amazing. Well, you know, we have sources everywhere that you turn, and you never know when we're going to come across an interesting piece of information. And Oh, Robert! Oh my God, Robert! Oh Lord, I disavow. I disavow quickly. I disavow. Oh my word, Robert! But that is funny. Alma's in the house. Alma, good to see you. Aw, it's been a while. Glad to have you with us. So, mwah, to you. Oh my word. Oh my word. Goodness me. Goodness me. Uh, uh, what is that? What is this? Okay, somebody got to clue me in on this one because I must have missed this. But somebody clue me in on what's going on with this one, or is this something that I'm just not supposed to know about? Anyway, all right, people are starting to filter into the room. This is making me feel good. Well, I was getting ready to say here on the electronic front porch, we have all kinds of feelers out there for information, be it in the area of politics or in pop culture. Um, And our sources now tell us that there is a new television show, a pilot that is going to be airing sometime this fall, probably in September. And it's a take on two different things that, if you mash them together, it kind of makes for potentially interesting television. The plot centers around a father of several children who's trying to raise them in the best way he knows how, but his methods are a little bit old school. So I don't know if you guys, well, you probably haven't heard about this one yet, but if you do, be on the lookout because this is a new show that may be debuting this fall. So, I mean, Bronson's Creek. I don't know, man. As with anything in modern television these days, anything might strike lightning in a bottle. This one might go on to become famous. So we shall see. But be on the lookout for Bronson's Creek. Just saying. And you remember, you heard it here first. You absolutely heard it here first. Oh, mercy me, mercy me, mercy me. Happy to be here. We just can't stop winning. That's very true. And, I'm actually glad you said that, Alma, because that kind of brings up my first topic of the night. And this one's kind of interesting because I tell you what, if y'all have hung around the channel long enough, you guys know that I am a devotee of good speeches. I love a good speech, be it political or otherwise. And Donald Trump, for all the grief that he gets in one form or another, laid down probably one of the finest speeches. And I don't mean necessarily even of his presidencies, but I would just say maybe of all time. And I'm not trying to exaggerate with that. I'm really not. I'm not trying to hype that beyond what it is. But I mean, to a man and woman, regardless of whether they like Trump, don't like Trump, agree with his policies, don't agree with his policies, etc., the speech that he gave the other day in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, is nothing short of extraordinary. I mean, now I will confess to you that I have not watched the whole speech yet. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but the bits and pieces of it that I've seen, if the rest of the speech holds up, much like the clips that I've seen, then I have a feeling historians will go on to mark this down as one of the most interesting speeches that a president has given, perhaps in the past 50 to 75 years. Seriously, I think it's that good. And what makes it so good, at least from my perspective, okay, what makes the speech so good is that it's two things simultaneously. It is a repudiation of about 50 years of neoconservative foreign policy. And on the other hand, it is the establishment of, I hate to use this term, a new world order. Or maybe it's better to say a reordering of the world. Now, I think you're going to understand what I'm getting at when I show you the clips, but I want to show you a headline from the Associated Press that kind of gives you an idea of how and the tragedy of it, the absolute tragedy of it. The networks barely covered it. Barely. I mean, I dare somebody, be it in my audience or somewhere else, I dare somebody. And again, you all know me. If I get proven wrong, I'll be the first one to admit I was wrong. But I dare somebody to show me the kind of extended press coverage and analysis of that speech coming out of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I dare somebody to show me the kind of analysis that it deserved, the amount of time that should have been devoted to it, because by and large, networks didn't even cover it. Major media in the U.S. didn't even cover it, but my word, this speech was powerful. Let me take you guys to the pages of the Associated Press, and I think you're going to understand what I'm talking about here. Trump lays out Mideast vision as he looks to revamp U.S. approach in Iran, Syria, and beyond. Article written by Amir Madani, Zeke Miller, and John Gambrell. We've got the following. Dateline, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. President Donald Trump on Tuesday held out Saudi Arabia as a model for a reimagined Middle East, using the first major foreign trip of his term to emphasize the promise of economic prosperity over instability in a region reeling from multiple wars. Offering partnership to longtime foes, Trump said he would move to lift sanctions on Syria and normalize relations with the new government, led by a former insurgent, and he touted the U.S. role in bringing about a fragile ceasefire with Yemen's Houthis. But Trump also indicated his patience was not endless, as he urged Iran to make a new nuclear deal with the U.S. or risk severe economic military consequences. With his carrot and stick approach, Trump gave the clearest indication yet of his vision for remaking the region, where goals of fostering human rights and a democracy promotion have been replaced by an emphasis on economic prosperity and regional stability. Okay, now I want to stop there for a minute, because I think that's a pretty good lead-in, and I'll tell you why. Now, let me just say something up front, okay? I think that the AP's, the gentleman who wrote that article, I think they kind of missed the whole point about what Trump's speech was. You'll notice in that last paragraph that I read that they made the statement that Trump was trying to replace what had been with economic opportunity. Well, now it's a little bit more than that. Trump's speech was just out and out a rejection of neoconservative foreign policy. Now, for those of you maybe not familiar with the term, and I will tell you up front, there are people far better than I am who can get into the definitions and the nuances of neoconservatism. Basically, neoconservatism in practice is foreign policy at the end of a gun. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but that's true. Neoconservatives believe that the U.S. should reign supreme over the world. Okay, I may not have a problem with that idea, but they take it one step further. They think that we should be supreme to everyone else, and if we have to utilize our military doing it, then so be it, which means, going into a country like Iraq for regime change. Although, oh no, it was weapons of mass destruction. Saddam was passing along, yellow cake uranium to terrorists. Well, it turned out that never true. Never proven anyway. We've gone into Afghanistan. We've gone into Iraq. Lindsey Graham is constantly preaching for us to go into Syria and bomb the infernal guts out of somebody. Neoconservatives, and Lindsey Graham's a good example of this. He's one of the leaders of the movement here in the U.S. anyway. We need to bomb them back to the Stone Age. We need to just, curb stomp. Just whatever. No, you don't have to do that. First of all, there was a time and I'm not saying this was always the case. There have been notable exceptions in 250 years. But by and large, there was a time when we're like, okay, you're over here, you do your thing, we'll do our thing. And so long as you aren't getting in our way, we're not going to worry about it. Now, probably you can make an argument from about Bill Clinton. Well, no, you go back further than that. Go back to Poppy Bush. We've been messing around in various parts of the world trying to create the things that we want to see happen, and it's not working out very well for us. We've bled blood, literally. We've bled treasure, absolutely. Trying to remake the world in the image that we think it ought to be, and we're getting nowhere with it. Well, along comes Trump, and Trump says, there's a better way of doing this. And that is what makes this speech so intriguing. So I've got some clips, and I want to play them here for you guys. We'll talk about them as we need to, but yeah, I think this is probably one of the best speeches I've ever, and not just because it's Trump. I mean, you guys know me; I'm a supporter of Donald Trump. I'd like to think I'm an honest broker. When he screws something up, I'll tell you. When he gets it right, I'll tell you. So I'd like to think I'm an eyes wide open supporter of Trump. But honestly, this isn't about Trump. I mean, Trump, any president could have given this speech. Let me rephrase that. Philosophically, okay, any president could have given this speech if they have the same philosophy as Trump. So I'm not necessarily praising the speech because it was Donald Trump who delivered it, but the messaging in that speech is so powerful. I mean, I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was Stephen Miller. I don't know if it was Miller in consultation with the White House speech writing staff or who it was. But I'll tell you what, whoever wrote that speech, they deserve a pay raise because that thing was tremendous. All right, I'm hyping this thing. Let me get to it. Hello, Snippet. Glad to have you here with us. And a hat tip and a fist bump to you. Kawan, yeah, Kawan, you got a point. It does go back to Teddy Roosevelt. Long way back. But even Teddy Roosevelt had limits upon his ideas. Yeah, and Robert, I totally agree with this. Mainstream media goes way out of its way to miss everything. So there you go. All right, I've hyped this thing long enough. Let's get to some clips. And this first one's pretty good. It runs about a minute, almost 2 minutes. Okay. But it's worth, I think, every bit of it because, wow, this thing is so good. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. And please check it out.
Before our eyes, a new generation of leaders is transcending the ancient conflicts of tired divisions of the past and forging a future where the Middle East is defined by commerce, not chaos, where it exports technology, not terrorism, and where people of different nations, religions, and creeds are building cities together, not bombing each other out of existence. We don't want that.
Okay, now I want to stop here for 1 second. I mean, don't get me wrong. We'll get back to it. We will absolutely get back to this, but I got to stop this for 1 second, okay? Trump brings up a very good point, and it's this. There's a new generation of people coming along in the Middle East. They don't want to live like this anymore. They don't want to look up at the sky and wonder what kind of bomb was going to rain down on them tonight. They don't want to wonder if they go to the marketplace, will they or their children be killed? They want to live in some kind of peace, some kind of prosperity. And maybe it's time we can make that happen. Why does everything, and he didn't use these words, but I think I'm summing up the beginning of his statement here real well. Why do we always have to resolve everything at the end of a gun? Now, don't get me wrong. There's some moments in life you just can't get around it. I get that. But why does everything have to be resolved at the end of a gun? Can we not use economics as a means to move forward? Really? I think that's a reasonable expectation. All right, back to it then, because like I said, this stuff is really good. So here we go.
And it's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves, the people that are right here, the people that have lived here all their lives, developing your own sovereign countries, pursuing your own unique visions and charting your own destinies in your own way. It's really incredible what you've done. In the end, the so-called nation builders wrecked far more nations than they built, and the interventionists were intervening in complex societies that they did not even understand themselves. They told you how to do it, but they had no idea how to do it themselves.
Okay, folks, in case you're wondering, and I don't think this audience is really wondering that much, all of that was a shot at people like Dick Cheney. All of that was a shot at George W. Bush and Donald Rumsfeld and Paul Wolfowitz and every other neoconservative of the past 25 or 30 years that has had a hand in the interventionism that is the U.S. And Kawan, I totally agree with you. Hey, you're right. You are right. Let's get out of there. I agree with you, brother. I mean, like I said, I will be an honest broker here as much as I can. You're not wrong. We need to get out of Ukraine. Totally. Okay, well, fair. All right, that's a fair point. But there sort of becomes a question. Okay, is it worth it? I mean, is it really? I mean, to those folks out there in the foreign policy intelligentsia world, I got a question for you guys. Okay, or for them, not my audience, for you guys, for you, folks that believe in intervening as much as possible and everywhere. Is it worth it? How much money has this country spent on the misadventure that was the second Iraq War? How many of our kids have died or have been so permanently injured that those that did survive will never be the same again? Was it worth it? Say what you want to about Colin Powell, and Lord knows I will, but he made a great point to W before we went into Iraq. He said, you break it, you buy it. And the point Powell was trying to make to him is, look, you do this, you're going to own it, and you own all the consequences that go with it. I don't think W owns as much consequences as he should, but he does own the consequences. Excuse me for 1 second, folks. I just realized something. One moment. Your host will be right back. Sorry about that. I just realized I've got an open window and I could just hear a car beeping off in the background. So, the tin can and string operation is touchy enough. I don't need like honking horns coming into your living rooms. No, I just went to shut the window. Don't worry about it, dear. I'm good. But yeah, I mean, is it really worth it? I mean, to all you neoconservative interventionists out there that watch this live stream, and y'all know you do, is it worth it? I mean, you've had your chance. God knows you've had decades of time and ability and everything else. Is the world really better off the way you've done it? I'd argue no. And what did the U.S. get out of it? Trillions of dollars in debt. Thousands upon thousands of dead soldiers. Hatred around the world in certain countries. And for what? So you could fulfill your vision that the U.S. be absolutely supreme above all else. Wow. It's worked out so well for everybody. So well for everybody. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know. I hear this speech from Trump, and again, I agree with Kawan. There are places in the world this ought to apply equally. Ukraine's getting wealthy. Yeah, and that's another great question too. Who is getting wealthy off all these wars? I think some bank statements or personal balance sheets ought to be opened up. Okay. But I mean, Trump just basically said, yeah, you've tried it. It doesn't work. And now there's a new generation of men and women coming along in the Middle East leadership. They don't want to keep doing this. And that, to me, is one of the unique things about Trump's approach. Everybody's focusing on, Trump's deal making, Trump's getting this deal and that deal. And yeah, that's true. That's Trump's nature. He loves to negotiate. He's the guy you want when you need something bought for your company at rock bottom dollar. Trump's the guy you want to send out there doing it. Okay, he'll find the deal, and he'll just squeeze for all it's worth to get you all the advantage you can out. Well, that's what Trump's trying to do on behalf of an entire nation of 330 million people. Zippy's in the house. Good evening, Zippy. Intervention, maybe not, but war historians I watch mention if the U.S. is not in some parts of the world's police, China or Europe would be. Those does the U.S. need the world? Well, okay, fair question. Where Europe is concerned, I'm not so much worried about Europe anymore because it's painfully obvious. Europe is a paper tiger. And again, to those, Jardom, who's one of my viewers from Great Britain, and I'm not trying to be insulting to him, but Great Britain is a paper tiger. Same thing with France, same thing with Germany. They have nothing. Oh, by the way, did you guys see the Grateful Dead riding on a train recently? I was this close to putting out a video, and just time wouldn't let me do it. Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron, and Friedrich Merz of Germany on that passenger train car going from Poland to Ukraine. Man, if that old Grateful Dead song wasn't going through my mind, it was then watching that whole deal go down. Driving that train high on cocaine. Anyway, got another clip here. I got 2 or 3 of them actually, and believe me, I really do. I recommend go out and find this speech on YouTube or wherever and watch it because it is nothing short of amazing. This clip I absolutely love. If ever there was a repudiation of the idea of what we ought to be doing in terms of foreign policy, this next clip will give you an idea where Trump's brain is at. Okay. So with that, let me get this one set up for you guys. As always, and by the way, thank you for feedback on how sound and everything else is doing. I always do appreciate that. All right, here is a really good one. This runs about 1:13, and it's worth every bit of it. So with that, folks, enjoy.
In recent years, far too many American presidents have been afflicted with the notion that it's our job to look into the souls of foreign leaders and use U.S. policy to dispense justice for their sins. They loved using our very powerful military, and now it's really the most powerful it's ever been. We just are getting a budget approved, $1 trillion, highest budget we've ever had in history for military, $1 trillion. And we're getting the greatest missiles, the greatest weapons. And, I hate to do it, but you have to do it because we believe in peace through strength. You have to have the strength. Otherwise, bad things could happen. But hopefully, we'll never have to use any of those weapons. Seems to be an awfully big waste of money. You're never going to use them, but hopefully we'll never have to use them because the destructive power of some of those weapons are like nobody's seen before. I believe it is God's job to sit in judgment, my job to defend America and to promote the fundamental interest of stability, prosperity, and peace. That's what I really want to do.
It's not my job to look into the souls of world leaders. It is God's job to judge them. Again, that's a swipe at W. Remember when one of the first times he had conversations with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and I think some reporter asked him, "How do you know that you can trust Putin?" And W said something like, "Well, I looked into his soul. I looked into his soul, and I realized I can work with this man." Yeah, well, that's Trump's way of saying, yeah, well, it's not your job to look into somebody's soul. It's your job to promote the interests of the United States as much as possible. Let God sit in judgment of someone else's soul. And don't you be looking into somebody's soul trying to make them right in such a way that you think ought to happen. I'm telling you, man, there were people in the United States, and we'll never hear about it, but I'm telling you right now, there were people in the United States tearing their hair out over this speech. Absolutely. A couple of more clips. This next one's pretty good. Let me set this up real quick. Hang on one second. Yeah, this is sort of a crescendo to what he was doing. There's another clip I could play, but for the sake of brevity, I will skip it. But this one's pretty good too. This kind of wraps up Trump's general idea of what he thinks is possible, and that's one of the things. That's one of the things I love. That's one of the things I love about this speech is the sense of optimism. I mean, this takes me back to the days of Reagan. You know, and not just Pollyanna optimism. Oh, the world is good and, flowers in your hair and, whatever. No, it's grounded in realism. But it is an optimistic vision of what could yet be if we turn away from what's been done for the past 30 years. And with that, that'll set up the clip. So give me 1 second, folks. As always, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And here we go.
If the responsible nations of this region seize this moment, put aside your differences and focus on the interests that unite you, then all of humanity will soon be amazed at what they will see right here in this geographic center of the world. It really is. It's like a center of the world and the spiritual heart of its greatest faiths.
Yeah. Now, again, like I say, I really do. I recommend checking out the whole speech because it is nothing short of amazing. Absolutely nothing short of amazing. Now, that was Trump Tuesday in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Back home, however, you get an absolute contrast between Trump's energy and the energy of most members of Congress. Now, in case you're wondering what I'm talking about, there was a committee hearing. And let me tell you something. Members of the Democrat Party were a bit less than energetic. Did you guys happen to see this? Now, the one congressman on the right is Congressman Moore, and I'm not sure which state he's from. I hope it's not West Virginia because, oh gosh, I don't think that's Riley. But the other one on the left, if that person looks familiar to you, and by the way, we have to thank Gypsy for this. That one on the left is Representative Debbie Dingell of Michigan. Okay? And this is not photoshopped, by the way. They are sound asleep in the middle of a committee hearing. Okay? Absolutely sound asleep. I mean, just completely and utterly ridiculous. And the part that cracks me up the most, it really does. The part that cracks me up the most, here's Donald Trump, 78-year-old man, out there traveling the world, doing billion-dollar deals with other nations. And this guy has got high energy like nothing I've ever seen. And people his same age back in the United States are literally falling asleep in committee hearings. Now, for the record, and for the sake of being fair, yeah, I'm 53 years old, and there are moments when, I will conk right out in the middle of something. Okay. Yeah, Alma, that's a good way of putting it. Wow. Just wow. Yeah. Maybe somebody was playing him a lullaby. Who knows, the highness. But this is crazy. This is crazy. And by the way, by the by, you would think that Representative Dingell would know better than to do something like this, because let us be honest, ladies and gentlemen. Well, now, you know what? Come on. That's a great point, because they are boring as all get out. But still, you're opening yourself up to a certain amount of shenaniganism, or maybe better to say, to be the victim of shenaniganism, because if you're not careful, okay, you could be like Representative Dingell. You could be like Representative Dingell, and before you realize what's happening to you, somebody's coming along and doing some graffiti on your face. I mean, now, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. It's definitely not okay. I agree. They work about one. You're absolutely right, about 1/3 of the year. But yeah, I mean, if these guys aren't careful, you're gonna have some. Now that guy doing that to Representative Dingell, he looks very familiar. I don't know. Maybe Trump got back sooner from his vacation than we all realized. Oh my word, Robert. I disavow. We disavow. We quickly disavow. But that is funny. Yeah. Yeah, he did. He did. Oh, God. Anyway, sorry. I found that and I was like, that's just too daggone funny. That is just too. Yeah, I mean, anyway, crazy. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, that's a little bit of Trump's speech from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and I saw that and I was like, man, that is just amazing. It really was. Like I say, I recommend it to you. It's probably one of the best speeches that I have heard about or heard parts of, and I really recommend it to you. It's that good. So check it out somewhere. I'm going to do my best this weekend or sometime in the near future to check it out myself. So thought you guys might enjoy some clips from that. All right. Let us move to a different compartment of the train and talk about another subject. But before we do, let me do a real quick commercial. My name is Brian. If you happened upon this live stream, and bless your heart, really, with such high quality, how can you not find your way to this wonderful, wonderful channel? Yeah, as the mouse on the treadmill keeps running faster and faster down there. Anyway, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative, and glad to have y'all here. We are engaged in something called the Wednesday Night Newsroom. This is a live stream that we do about middle of the week, try and catch up on some of the things going on. Because sometimes you just don't have a chance to check out the news or blow off some steam and give your opinions about it. And that's part of what this live stream does. So if that sort of thing interests you, if this is what you like, well, first of all, go ahead and subscribe to my channel on YouTube and Rumble. And while you're at it, set the bell for notifications. That way you're always aware when new material is coming out, be it a live stream or a video or what have you. And since you're here already, go ahead and hit the like button and share. We'd love to have your help with all of that. All right. Let us shift gears, as we are prone to do in moments like this, and talk about Robert Kennedy Jr. Did you guys happen to catch any of RFK Jr.'s testimony in front of certain congressional committees today on Oh, I tell you what. Now, let me just say this for the record. Okay. Laying aside some of RFK Jr.'s vocal peculiarities, okay, which is not his fault. He's afflicted with a certain situation that causes problems with his vocal cords, and his speaking, is sometimes hard on the ears. Lay that aside. One thing you can say about RFK Jr. is, generally speaking, he's a very even-tempered person in public. Okay. Oh, honey, you're in for a treat. If you miss this, you are in for a treat. Well, no, I don't think he's flying home on that $400 million plane. I do think he's flying home on the old Air Force One, as far as I know, anyway. But getting back to RFK Jr. Normally, RFK Jr. is very even-handed in public. I mean, very even-tempered. I mean, behind closed doors, no idea. Couldn't tell you. But normally when you see RFK Jr. in public, he is very, very even-handed. Not today, because I think he's just about hit the level of his patience with people asking him dumb questions, particularly if they're members of the party he used to belong to. And if you don't believe me, I got 2 or 3 clips here that'll probably back up my opinion on this. The first one, oh God, this is classic. He has an exchange with Representative Rosa DeLauro of Connecticut. And by the way, please make it a point to say hello to our good friend up in Connecticut, UPINCT. She's going through some problems right now, so a well wish on Twitter or what have you, she would appreciate. So, but anyway, Rosa DeLauro, or Skeksis as I like to call her, she got into it with RFK Jr. And I tell you what, the normally even-tempered Mr. Kennedy had no problem whatsoever putting her in her place. Now, if you don't believe me, get ready, because this is going to be good. I think you guys are going to get quite the kick out of this. So with that, we will launch into it in 3, 2, 1.
Look at our children. They're the sickest children in the world. Lori, you say that excuse me, Congressman DeLauro, you say that you've worked for 20 years on getting food dye out. Give me credit. I got it out in 100 days. Yeah. All right, so let's work together and do something that we all believe in, which is have healthy kids in our country, for God's sake.
Ms. Dean.
That together. It's not, there's no such thing as Republican children or Democratic children. There's just kids, and we should all be be concerned with them.
Now, by the way, I am not laughing at what he's saying. I'm laughing at the fact that he's teed off on this woman. And he's got a valid point, by the way. And she's been up there saying, I've been working on this issue for 20 years. I've been trying to get the dyes out of certain foods, And he's like, well, at least give me a little bit of credit. You've been doing it for 20 years and you couldn't get anything done. I got it done in 100 days. Yeah, it's just, but it reminds me of something that was said a long time ago by the legendary Rush Limbaugh, one of my heroes in broadcasting. He made a point about Donald Trump. He said there's a reason that the establishment in Washington hates Donald Trump so much, is that they realize that he could expose them all as frauds. And what Limbaugh was getting at was this. If Donald Trump comes in and solves a problem that official Washington has been working on for decades, but they just can't seem to get anywhere with it, then the American people are going to look at the first time Trump does it, they'll say, okay, got lucky. Second time, well, okay, kind of coincidence. When Trump starts doing it 3 or 4 or 5 times, the American people start looking at Trump going, huh. Then they look over at official Washington and they go, Do we really need you guys up there? Because you've been saying we need to reelect you to get these problems solved, yet you don't solve them. Why do we keep sending you to Washington, D.C.? Fair question. And that's what Robert Kennedy was in his own way driving home that point. You say you've been trying to take care of this problem for 20 years. I got the dyes out of these foods in 100 days. And just the expression on Kennedy's face watching this, he's just had enough. He's just absolutely had enough. Now, we got another clip here. This runs a little bit longer, and I'm trying to remember the name of the congressman who this exchange took place with. But it's a question of why are you cutting Medicaid? You awful, dirty, collaborator with Donald Trump. Why are you cutting people off of Medicaid? What are you doing? This is awful. This is terrible. Yada, yada, yada. With that, here's one for you. Whoops. Sorry. Hang on. Forgot that I'm doing this a slightly different way now. With that, folks, check this out, and I hope you enjoy it. We'll stop it at certain points that we need to because this clip runs about almost 3 minutes, but it's worth it. Here you go.
So do you disagree with the cuts that are being proposed for Medicaid right now?
Oh, the cuts to, this is I don't know if you understand this or whether you're just mouthing, the Democratic talking points.
Mr. Secretary, let me just go ahead and say it. He's mouthing the Democrat talking points. Let us continue.
The cuts to Medicaid are for fraud, waste, and abuse. And I'll tell you what that means. It means that because of DOGE, we were able to determine, and it's about 8 million people who would be affected. Because of DOGE, we were able to determine that there are 1 million people who are claiming Medicaid from multiple states. That's illegal. It's theft. You're not allowed to do that. There are another 1 million people who are collecting both under Obamacare and
Mr. Secretary, that has nothing to do with the budget that's
These are
actually
the only
being
cuts that are
proposed
being
in the
made.
House.
These are the only cuts that are being made to Medicaid.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. There are another 1 million illegal aliens. We announced a law yesterday, a rule yesterday, we're not going to pay illegal aliens anymore. And guess what Gavin Newsom did this morning? He said, we're going to take all the illegal aliens off the California Medicaid rolls because the feds aren't paying for them anymore. So the compassion ends.
Secretary, let me focus you on the actual numbers of the budget that's being proposed.
Secretary,
I regain my time. I think what you are saying is absolutely inaccurate in terms of the 13 million Americans that will lose access to healthcare. Let me tell you, the folks in my district are not actually getting Medicaid in another state. They can't travel to get it in another state. The clinics that are providing that life-saving care are the last resort for folks.
Let me tell you the last category. Last category is adults who are able-bodied, who refuse to look for a job, to volunteer, to get a job, or to show that they are in certain, or to take a part-time job.
I agree with them. That is absolutely not true. The vast majority of
Okay, I'm going to stop this right there. I think y'all begin to see how much fun Bobby Kennedy Jr. was having. Oh, I did see that. I did, and I apologize to y'all that I did not get a clip ready for that. I should have. But yeah, to give you an idea of how nutty how do I want to phrase this? To give you an idea how nutty the political left and or the Democrat Party is getting right now, one of the co-founders of Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream, Ben, shows up to protest at this committee hearing, which has nothing to do with the topic he's protesting about. He's protesting about what's going on in the Middle East. Now, look, if he wants to protest, that's his own business. That's fine. Hope he does it intelligently. By intelligently, I mean go out and get the facts and then make a statement about it. But why are you doing this in a committee hearing about Medicaid and Medicare and health policy in America? Really? Oh my Lord. Crazy. Oh my! Oh yeah, that's yeah. You're Mr. Kennedy. You're wrong. Trust me, bro. Yeah, says the Democrat congressman from. Oh God, these guys. Is it nutty? Is it nutty gay ice cream left? I have no idea, Zippy. No idea. But oh yeah, Mr. Kennedy was having himself a whole lot of fun. A whole lot of fun. This is just absolutely priceless. I got one more clip here, and some of this may bleed into some of what we've already watched, and I hope it does, and my apologies if it does. But I tell you what, I think Robert Kennedy is starting to reach the limits of his patience with some of these people, particularly, and here's the irony of it for him, or one of them anyway. These people who used to be friends of his, Rosa DeLauro of Connecticut, Steny Hoyer of Maryland, he knows all these people. They know him. But now, because he's working with, Bad Man Orange, he is like persona non grata to these people. It's astounding to me. Absolutely astounding. So, hey, small times in the house. Good to have you here, brother. Boom. Howdy. Remember how appalled the left was when Owen Schroyer protested at a congressional hearing? Yeah, exactly. But not a peep when it's one of their own. Which, by the way, that one of their own is setting up one last topic I've got for the night. Got one last clip for you. And like I said, hopefully this does not bleed into things that we've already, things that we've already watched. But it's definitely worth checking out. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I hope you enjoy, and where I think it does bleed into something we've already watched, I will make it a point to be conscientious and try and stop it. But here we go.
In my district, which is a rural district, want to work with you on those goals. What can we do to promote this with young children, healthy lunches, all sorts of areas where local communities can partner with you in this effort?
We are about to reissue the dietary guidelines. We're going to do it very quickly. We have until January, but we're going to do it. I think we'll have it done even before August. And we took the Biden guidelines, which were 453 pages long and were clearly written by industry, that are incomprehensible, driven by the same industry capture and those kind of carnal impulses that put Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid. And we are changing.
Hey, whoa, wait a minute. What's wrong with Fruit Loops at the top of the pyramid? I start my day with a Fruit Loop. I end my day with a Fruit Loop. I am a Fruit Loop. Anyway, back to the clip.
Changing that. So we're going to have 4-page dietary guidelines that tell people essentially eat whole food, eat the food that's good for you. That's going to drive changes in the school lunch programs. And we're going to need your help to make sure we can get good school lunches to Head Start. I've been touring these Head Start facilities. Everything they eat is in a package, and it is just loaded with sugar and with chemicals. We're poisoning this generation, 800,000 kids, the poorest kids in our country, and we're starting them out with this count against them, with diabetes, pre-diabetes. 38% of our youth now are diabetic or pre-diabetic. That was 0 when I was a kid. Anybody thinks that we did gold standard medicine in this country from these institutions, look at our children. They're the sickest children in the world. Laura, you say that excuse me.
Okay. Now, to keep it from bleeding over to something we've already watched, but you get his point. I tell you what, look, I mean, you guys know me. I don't have children. But I also recognize where he's coming from. There's got to be something done here to try and make better for our kids. Look, I've got 2 great nephews and 2 great nieces. They range in age anywhere from 2 to 9. Okay? I tell you what, the 9-year-old, he's something to watch, especially when he's playing baseball. Oh my gosh. If that kid stays healthy and keeps his head screwed on straight, I mean, I don't know that he'll ever play professional baseball or whatever. But I'll tell you what, he's going to be a really good athlete. But I mean, look, I'm worried for these kids. You know, what are we feeding them, especially in schools? You know, and you know, fortunately, you know, their moms and dads have good jobs and they're able to provide them with, you know, good food. But what about those kids that come from families that don't have those kind of economic opportunities? I don't know. I'm going to be very curious to see some of the things that are going to come out of Department of Health and Human Services that Bobby Kennedy and many others are pushing to make changes for. Oh, Z Highness, how could you? Talking about Fruit Loops. Folks, she's here all week and try the veal. Don't forget to tip your waitresses. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is true. That is true, Z Highness. She did. She did. Very true. Very, very true. So yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. You know, like a lot of people, let's see if we can make this better. And I think Bobby Kennedy is going to go a long way. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Oh, I think I've heard about this. I think I have heard about this, dear. Ugh. Not good. Not good at all. Anyway. All right. Time for one more commercial, one more topic, and then we're going to bring it into the station. My name is Brian Trippett, and I'm known in social media as the Front Porch Conservative. And if you have found this live stream tonight, you have found your way to the Wednesday night newsroom. This is a fun little thing we do. We get together, we talk about the news, we give our views, and we try to make sense out of this crazy thing we call life. I'm having fun. We got a great crowd of people here. M169, Gypsy, Z Highness, Small Time, Zippy, Robert's here. God, who else am I? Alma is here. Forest Mommy's here. Kawan is here. So many names. I'm just trying to keep up with it all. Glad to have you guys here. If you're not subscribed to my channel on YouTube or Rumble, do me a favor. Go ahead and give yourself a sub. And while you're at it, hit that bell for notifications. Make sure you're always aware when I got something new coming out. And yeah, glad to have you. And hit the thumbs up, daggone it. Hit that thumbs up. And get your friends to hit the thumbs up. Just don't let them hit their thumbs. I don't need people angry at me. All right. One last thing, and we'll bring it into the station. Oh, there is nothing worse, in my book anyway, than a media mea culpa. And if it were an issue that the media were genuinely apologetic for something that they'd screwed up, okay. You might understand. The last time I heard of something like that happening was about 45 years ago with the Washington Post. They screwed, and this was back when Ben Bradley was still the managing editor. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go Google Washington Post and Jesse, Jesse. It's a story that one of their reporters ran about a 6-year-old kid in inner Washington, D.C., got addicted to heroin. There's just one problem. The whole story was a fabrication. This reporter slipped it past everybody. The editors, the bureau chiefs, everybody. And the thing is, this reporter for the Washington Post had gotten like a Pulitzer Prize. The paper had won a Pulitzer Prize. And when Ben Bradley, who was still the editor, found out what happened, they did like a multiple page front section of the Washington Post detailing how they screwed it up and falling over themselves apologizing for it. One of the very few times I've ever heard of something like that being done in media. That was back then. Now, the mea culpa that's going on right now has to do with the book written by Jake Tapper of CNN and Alex Thompson of Axios. Now, is it Axios or Politico? Wait a minute. Now I got to look this up. Hang on one second. Alex Thompson. Axios. Yep, I'm sorry. It is Axios. Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson have written a book talking about the cover-up at the White House of the Biden dementia. Now, I call it Biden dementia, but his cognitive decline. Now, I'm going to do, I mean, look, you guys know me. I am never above a good old-fashioned rant, and I've already ranted about this, okay? So I'm going to do my best not to rant anymore about it. However, this book went on the bookshelves this week, and as you might expect, Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson are doing the media rounds, trying to drum up support, get people to buy the book. Well, their brethren in the media, at least the honest ones anyway, are not having any of it. Okay? And furthermore, not only are they not having any of it, whenever Democrat politicians, be they in the U.S. Senate or the House of Representatives, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, whoever, when they're asked about why didn't you guys do something if you thought he was in decline? Oh, honey. Oh yeah, he's got it. The book is out this week. Yeah. Oh, if you're ready to say bad words now, Lana, get ready, because I got a clip that's just going to make you go over the edge. So Jake Tapper went on the network, CNN. He's interviewed by, I guess it's like one of the morning anchors. And yeah. But this is one of the reasons, Gypsy, why I was ranting when I heard about this a couple of months ago. You know, again, it's the analogy of the emperor's new clothes. Everybody keeps telling the emperor, oh, that suit of clothes you're wearing is fantastic. Kid standing on the street corner as the parade goes by says, yeah, it's not a new set of clothes. The emperor's buck naked. But yet when we try to tell people, hey, there's something wrong with Biden. Oh, no. You don't know what you're talking about. You're not a doctor. You're not a neurologist. You don't know what he's going through. Look at Trump, yada, yada. I mean, every kind of deflective comment imaginable was thrown at people. And the irony of it is, the very first person to point out that Joe Biden had some kind of problem cognitively was Julian Castro, a fellow Democrat. This was back in 2019. Julian Castro was running for president in the primaries against Biden. And he said, look, I think there's something wrong with the guy. And everybody just like, oh, boo hiss, there's nothing wrong with Biden. How dare you pick on a senior member of the Democrat Party? But the longer Biden went, everybody could see it. And by everybody, I mean you, me, conservatives, libertarians, even fellow Democrats. But the press, no, there's nothing wrong with Biden. Well, so now old Jake Tapper is going around trying to, hawk a book and trying to convince people to buy it. And let me tell you something. He's not having a lot of fun right now. And if you don't believe me, check out this clip from CNN this morning. And I think you're going to begin to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. With that, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
I'm just curious as to whether or not this kind of trying to hide what was happening with the president at the time had an impact on the press corps. Like, why didn't we hear some of these details from what they actually saw and were dealing with trying to get information?
You know what? To quote the legendary Rush Limbaugh, that woman just committed a random act of journalism. That is a great question. Why didn't the press pull some information out? Why didn't they get more than what they did? Well, Tapper's got an answer for that one. And with that, here we go.
Well, Alex Thompson and I were on the case, as were lots of other reporters, trying to figure out what was going on behind the scenes.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You were on the case? Jake, I could pull up a clip right now where you had Lara Trump on there. Lara just kind of like passingly brings up, and you immediately shot her down. Please do not sit there with a straight face and try and tell me that you and other reporters were on the case. Oh, give me a break, buddy.
But the bottom line is the White House was lying, not only to the press, not only to the public, but they were lying to members of their own cabinet. They were lying to White House staffers. They were lying to Democratic members of Congress, to donors about how bad things had gotten. And in fact, Alex and I started writing this book after the election of 2024. And we spoke with more than 200 people, most of whom, almost all of whom, were Democrats.
I have a question, Jake. How come you weren't doing that back in 2020? Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted Biden to win. Bad Man Orange had to go. People kept telling you he's got a problem. You wanted nothing to do with that. You were like you were the journalistic equivalent of an ostrich. You stuck your head in the sand. You didn't want to see it. You didn't want to hear it. You were like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And now, 4 years later, not only are you writing a book about it, you're trying to profit off of it. Bravo. Your journalistic standards of integrity and ethics are just extraordinary. Here's the rest of the clip.
And almost all of whom wouldn't be honest with us or wouldn't be candid with us until after the election. And then after the election, we found out all of these things that when you looked at what was going on with President Biden at the time, it probably doesn't surprise you the extent to which he was deteriorating. But now we have anecdotes and facts about what was really going on behind the scenes with details that Democrats wouldn't share with us until after Election Day.
You could have had these details and anecdotes years ago if you had been honest about it. Give me a break. They just now decided to give you the details. They just now decided to give you the deets, the 411. Come on, Jake. Give me a break. Good. It is just appalling to me, the hypocrisy, which again, it's the mainstream media in America. The willingness to be hypocritical knows no bounds. Okay? Knows no bounds whatsoever, but it's just unbelievable with these people. Absolutely unbelievable. Yep, you are so losing it. So true. So true. We knew it 4 years ago. And I'm using the royal we here, okay? We all knew this 4 years ago. You knew it. I knew it. Anybody with a functioning brain cell and honest, and you knew it. Oh, preach, sister. Preach it. I hear you. Small time. That's a great point. That's a really great point. Here's my, and that begs an interesting question, sir. How long were these guys really working on this book? So you're going to tell me on November the 6th, they went to work on, one called up the other, either Alex called up Jake or Jake called up Alex and said, hey, you want to write a book? What about? Biden's cognitive decline. Oh, I don't know, man. We might have to do some serious research on that. Well, between the two of us, we can probably run this stuff down. Unbelievable. But I will say this. There are people in the press, in the mainstream press, that aren't having any of this. And you know what? I give Mark Halperin a lot of credit. Now, I don't always agree with Mark Halperin. I don't always agree with his takes. But I tell you what, good old-fashioned shoe leather straight journalism, Halperin's not bad. I'm not going to say, how do I want to put this? Halperin strikes me as one of those guys that you may not agree with him on everything, but you could sit down and have a conversation with him and be reasonable about it. Well, Halpern is having none of this. I've got a clip here. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I don't think it's going to take too long before you realize exactly where Halpern comes down on this thing. So with that, let me get this set up for you guys. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Okay. Like I said, Halpern's having none of it. And if you want some proof, well, as they say out there on the streets, break it down for me, brother. Check this out.
All right. Again, amazing. True. Here's something true that he said, that Jake Tapper said on CNN this morning. True that there was a cover-up, that senior Biden officials worked very hard to cover up as much as they could his decline, including amongst other people in the government and in the campaign. That's true. Here's two things that are not true. Okay. And this is where the credibility is just so important, that people be honest. I shouldn't be the only one in the media being honest about this. It's bizarre. Okay. One thing that's not true is that you needed that the cover-up was so good that no one could see this, that we couldn't possibly have gotten to the bottom of this during the election. Again, it makes me mental. It was clear. I saw it with my own eyes in 2017 at a public event with hundreds of people. You saw it almost every day, not every day, but almost every day, both in what he did and the fact that he had such a limited schedule. So it is not true that it's only after the election that Jake Tapper could have gotten to the bottom of this and the rest of the Washington press corps could have gotten to the bottom of it. The other thing that's not true is that the press is blameless, because they were more than just stymied in the telling of Jake Tapper. They were stymied from getting to the truth. No, they weren't. They were part of the conspiracy and the cover-up. They allowed themselves to believe the ridiculous spin on TV in public, and privately they allowed themselves to be browbeat. I know reporters. Again, I said before, I don't know that Jake Tapper was browbeat by Biden folks, but I know reporters who were. They were told, you will lose access. The New York Post lost access because they covered the Hunter Biden story. Reporters who covered any story the Biden people didn't like were denied access. Does this sound familiar?
Wow. You know what? Like I said, I give Mark Halpern a lot of credit, because that, oh yeah, absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Mark, everybody has their own choice and sources of things they'll watch as far as news. I really recommend, and I agree with Small Time, Mark Halpern's channel, Two Way, is really good. It's really, really good. I love the way he does it. And to me, Halpern is like so many folks in the journalistic community who are no longer part of the corporate media. Megyn Kelly, Tucker, Halpern, man. And like I said, I don't necessarily agree with Halpern on everything, but I wish him the best of luck, because I tell you what, Atlanta, I absolutely agree with you. He should get some points for calling out the BS on this. He should. So yeah, hat tip to Mark Halpern, and brother, I think you're absolutely spot on with some of your analysis. I really do. Anyway, well, this is a good point too, Alma. Fake media, now they're cashing money when they knew this a long time ago. Well, no. I agree with you in regards to Tapper. My point is, Halpern wasn't out there, or at least to my knowledge anyway, it wasn't like cheerleading, saying, oh, Biden's fine. Now, I could be wrong. In that. But, I'll give Halpern credit for being honest enough to say, this is a load of garbage. Jake Tapper should not be, praise him for his journalistic integrity. No way, Jose. All right, let's bring this train into the station. And I want to thank you guys so much for being here as always. You are absolutely the most fantastic audience on the whole of the internet. We'll be back. I'm going to try and get some videos out this week. I swear to you guys I am. But for sure, We will be back this Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. for Front Porch Brunch, and gonna see what else happens between the rest of Donald Trump's trip overseas. Also, there's a big case in front of the Supreme Court tomorrow morning, so keep your eyes and ears open. We may have a video about that. In the meanwhile, thank you guys so much for being here. It's an absolute pleasure as always. Again, thank you for being so supportive. Thank you for being loving of this host as I work through my technical difficulties and just the ups and downs of having a small channel with, well, anyway. Thank you guys so much. You guys are just awesome, and I love you. I love you. I love you. Hit the like button on the way out. Leave a comment in chat. Hit the bell for notifications, and doggone it, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Anyway, love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. And as we depart, remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." Love you guys, and we will see you soon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.